guys, it's Faye from Solar Flow and I'm back with another video. Today's topic is the lost island of Atlantis. Is it truly a work of fiction? Is it some utopian ideal of what the world is supposed to look like? And what does it actually have to do with the modern day Atlantis of today's times? So if this sounds like an interesting topic to you, please stick around, and if not, I will catch you at another video. So Atlantis, I actually had to look this one up, which is very unlike me, but I actually had looked it up after I had channeled the information. So a while back I had channeled the information, and then one of you guys had asked me to do a read on it. So I decided, okay, let's revisit the topic. But in revisiting of the topic, I needed to actually understand what was going on. What's this whole concept of Atlantis? And in a very brief nutshell, because this is like probably the first time I've ever researched a topic to share here. The story of Atlantis is a fictional account that was written, I believe, by somebody named Plato. And it has been used ever since then as this gold standard of a utopian civilization. And it's actually kind of even picked up traction to the point where there is some thoughts or speculation that it did really exist or that it will really exist. So let's do a little deep dive analysis of what is going on with Atlantis. So first, was Atlantis real? Yes, I actually did find that Atlantis was a real place that did exist and was destroyed. Here's why. The idea of Atlantis is this utopian place. In actuality, what had happened there is directly connected to what led to the destroying of Atlantis, and they destroyed themselves. And this is the reason why. They were held to be this higher version or this higher standard of man. In actuality, they were not infallible. They too gave in to nefarious or inappropriate desires that some people may be known to have. I know that sounds kind of like nebulous, and I will explain it. At some point in Atlantis's history, something happened where people were not into the normal ways of procreation, one could say. They became bored living on this beautiful utopian paradise and started to look for other ways to entertain themselves and keep themselves occupied while they were there. So instead of doing things like grounding themselves and meditating and exploring the mysteries of the world and getting in touch with their divine nature and communing with their guides, their guardian angels, the divine, they became bored. And in their boredom, they looked to entertain themselves. And that turned into a fringe way of fulfilling their sexual appetite. So simply put, they became pedophiles. And the men were engaging in these activities with young boys. And yes, even the women, they were starting to engage with activities with the young girls. They were advanced on some level, and they did actually have advanced technology. And in their understanding of how far they had fallen from what the ideal of what they could have been, or perhaps even at one time what they had been, came to understand how far off course they actually were. And there's this great kind of expression which kind of neatly ties up what was going on with the people of Atlantis, which actually can apply a little bit to what's going on in today's world as well, which is, it is said that hard times, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but hard times create soft men. Soft men create hard times. Hard times create soft men. So it's basically showing the evolution of how when people have strife and suffering, the next generation is created to be stronger and more hardy and more resilient and having more strength of character as well. But that next generation, because they have strong men at the helm, create easy times for the following generation. And it becomes this cyclical cycle of good creating lays and malaise of character, which then in turn creates struggle and strife, which then in turn creates, do you see where this is going? I'm looking at a ring light right now. It's basically what a ring light is. It's a cyclical cycle of how human nature can shape and define the following generation. And that is truly what happened here with this lost island of Atlantis. It was this utopian civilization at first. And it was probably a utopian civilization for some time as well. But in the utopian civilization grew boredom, grew discontent, grew malaise of character, which changed energetically the foundation of Atlantis and allowed for this destruction of it through their lays and their malaise of character. But because they were at one time an advanced civilization and they did have advanced technology, they were able to, one could say, save themselves in the act of destroying themselves. Because they were so heralded as this utopian society that it was almost as if the actuality and the reality of this coming to light would forever taint. It's like they had to save the utopian society, the ideal of what a utopian society could look like for future generations. And the only way that they could do it was by destroying themselves and also by destroying any evidence of what they had actually been doing there. So there was a number of statues that I saw that were destroyed because these statues were depicting these inappropriate activities and interactions and behaviors that were going on there. And they wanted to destroy all evidence of it to preserve how it had been put on a pedestal. Now, because they had these advanced technologies, I did see when I was channeling it, a very, very bright white light going off and just like spreading out like this, and then there was nothing left thereafter. So I took that to be that it's an advanced technology. I wouldn't say that it was some sort of it wasn't a bomb or anything like that. It certainly wasn't a nuclear bomb. It was more almost like an energetic cleansing. And I do this actually very often with a lot of the clients that I work with when we're doing a cord cutting and they want to release the remnants of a cord that connected them to a disempowering belief or a person or anything like that, where they can actually cleanse it with God's energy, where they can bring it down and they can say, I don't want to do something that's of a physical nature. So I don't want to burn it, for example. I don't want to bury it. I want to cleanse it with God's light and God's essence. So they will bring down and they will channel a pure white light, which is the best way to cleanse. So this was some sort of channeling of God's pure white light and God's energy to bring it in and to bring it down and to cleanse and destroy any remnants that were there before. And interestingly enough, what I did see with the women was because the women were meant to be the protectors of the children, but they themselves were fallible, and they themselves were partaking in these behaviors and activities. They volunteered to not be destroyed, but to actually be the protectors and the keepers of the secrets of Atlantis. And they turned into sirens. The reason that the women volunteered to turn into sirens was because they themselves were first tempted by the men that they were in a relationship with, so in some cases they were turning a blind eye and they were choosing not to see what was going on, and in some cases they were actually partaking as well. So the women understood that they could be influenced by the nature of men, and what they wanted to do was to preserve the secrets from man. So what they did then was volunteer to become sirens, so that if men were coming too close to there's statues that are buried under the sea. So what they chose to do was volunteer to become sirens, that if men were becoming at sea, were coming too close to the buried remnants of these statues, which would basically, even if the men didn't understand, these seamen that were discovering it wouldn't understand necessarily that it was from Atlantis, but the survival of these relics could, in some cases, almost make it okay, almost make it acceptable, because then people could be it and they could see it and they could say, oh, hey, this happened once before, so I wonder if this was okay once before. So it was very, very much with the intention of really wanting to protect it from future generations of discovering it, and in some way, shape, or form, allowing these seamen that were discovering it to be led into these wayward desires of wanting to pursue those activities. So they chose to become sirens. They volunteered to become sirens of the sea, where they could then protect these relics, that if seamen were getting too close to it, they could sing with their very, very beautiful voices, and they could seduce and allure the men away. Just as in when they had been at Atlantis, they on some level had been seduced, and they had been led astray onto this very, onto the path that they were now trying to hide. So it was a karmic rebalancing of how they had once been led astray, where they are now leading people who could discover the secret of Atlantis. They are luring them astray. They are capturing the attention and the consciousness of the men to lure them away, thus keeping the secrets of Atlantis safe. Now, the men of Atlantis there was very, very many relics and statues and things of that nature. Some did survive, and that is what these sirens are actually protecting. But in addition to that, the sea is very cleansing, and it washes away a lot of, sorry, this is like a weird example, but like if you've ever watched like a true crime show and they talk about like how, if someone is killed, you put them in the ocean, because the water, first of all, will do a great job of like breaking down and decomposing the bodies, and then there's also fish there, but also the sea washes away a lot of the evidence. So these things were destroyed, but some of them were actually kept in the sea to like wash away the heavy, dense energy of what they actually represented. So that is why not all of them had actually been destroyed. A great many of them had, but they were kept to energetically wash away what they had been associated with, and also with the purpose, again, of these sirens having what to do. The sirens' actions of luring the men away is their karmic their karmic rebalancing. It's how are they choosing to rebalance their own previous energetic reverberations that their actions had created. So in the action of having these relics that were going to be cleansed and washed away, but also needed this protecting, is what gave the sirens their ability to rebalance their karma in how they had participated in these activities. Now, I do, not having a very big understanding of what it is, but I was channeling this information for a friend who had asked, and he had asked me, how does today's Atlantis in any way, shape, or form connect to the Atlantis of days of yore? And I didn't, it kind of like took me by surprise. I was like, wait, what? There's like a modern day Atlantis? So I had to look into it, and it was actually fascinating in that the intent of the modern day Atlantis is with the, it's with the same energy of what had actually been going on at the original Atlantis. So again, let's go back to the cycle. Good times create soft men with a malaise of character. And that is very much what is going on at the modern day Atlantis, where it is kind of like, just like the original Atlantis from days of yore was being spoken about as if it was a modern day utopia, the Atlantis resort is very family friendly, and it is kind of being like heralded as being a modern day utopia that is very family friendly. And it is not quite so up and up as it would be implied that way. It is because it is, sea. So first of all, just like deserts are portals, there are certain locations in the sea. And if you're unfamiliar, something that would give you good context is if you go back and you watch my video on the Titanic. But just like the deserts can be high vibrational locations and they can act as portals, there are certain grid lines and meridians that are energetically very vibrant, and they can act as energetic convergence points. And this modern day island of Atlantis is one such location where it is an energetic convergence point. But because the intention behind it is nefarious, it changes the vibration of the beings that are accumulating in that region. Okay, so if you want to think about it, like one good way of looking at it would be the difference between manslaughter, for example, and murder in the first degree. It's the intention behind the committing of the crime. So manslaughter is something that is a crime that is committed premeditated in advance with the intention of taking somebody off the earth plane or taking their body off the earth plane. Manslaughter is accidental. It was not premeditated at all. It could be you're driving your car, someone runs out in front of you and you hit them accidentally. So that is how the intention of a location can shape and change the energy that is around it. That is very much what happened here at the modern day island of Atlantis. The intentionality behind it was not pure intention to make it this wonderful family-friendly vacation where children could come and have a great time with their families. Sure, that's what's happening, but behind the veil, on the astral realm, the intention was to create a very sticky, very sticky. So imagine you spill orange juice and then you just, you wipe it, but you don't clean it. There's always a sticky residue that is left behind. And that is the residue of the modern day island of Atlantis. It is very sticky. It is very heavy. And the intentionality behind it was to make it, to open it up and to make it this environment where the malevolent beings on the astral realm could congregate above and could partake in the watching of the children. Sorry, there's no better way to say it. I'm actually really curious if anybody who's watching this video has been there, and if you can comment and let me know if when you were there, if you felt this kind of energy about it that felt in some way as if it was not quite on the up and up. Because I kind of have a feeling if you're watching a video like this, then you're probably somebody that's you're not just into these metaphysical concepts, but you're probably somebody that is also very sensitive to the energy of these metaphysical concepts. And I'm really curious if anybody has been there, if you can actually comment and let me know if you were sensitive and if you felt this. So it's very, very subtle, because what I was picking up on is not that they were actually allowed to come in, but it was like a mirror, a one-way mirror where they could see in, but not where they could come in. They could see down into it, but the inhabitants that were there because they were veiled in how modern day Atlantis had been sold to them, that it was like this very family-friendly vacation, like utopian vacation. So they were veiled in their understanding of what was going on there, that they would not necessarily tap into the undercurrent of the energy of what was actually going on there. So the people that were there were being veiled in their understanding of it, but the malevolent beings on the astral realm were not allowed to come in, but they could still enjoy and appreciate it, because there was such a huge convergence of these families with the children that were there, that they were really, really enjoying converging over it and looking down into it. Now, if you've ever been there, first of all, you can always call your energy back. So if you were there with your family, you were there with your kids, and you're kind of getting like this icky feeling about it, and you don't like knowing that these malevolent beings on the astral realm were able to spy in on you, call your energy back. And the way in which you call your energy back to you is, if you have sage, you want to just go around your home and you want to sage, you want to sage all of your belongings, you want to sage your furniture, go into your closet, you want to sage your clothing, you want to sage all the inhabitants in your home as well. And you do this with closed windows, and then you collect all of the smoke and all of these cleansed, what the smoke actually cleansed. You take it over to a window and you open the window and you release all of the smoke out the window. And as you're doing that, you say that you are releasing the energy of anyone or anything not currently residing in your home. You are sending their energy back to them. You are keeping your energy with you and your family, and you are transmuting the rest with love. And what that does is, energetically, it calls back to you, not just if you were in Atlantis and you're creeped out by this. You're going out about your day, you're having experiences, you're leaving energy tags, you're accumulating energy tags. So what this does is it is cleansing the energy. It is releasing the energetic tags of other people and other entities that you have picked up along your day. You are calling your energy of not only your energy, any inhabitant that is living in your home, you are calling your energy back to you as well, and transmuting the rest with love. Because everything we do is with the intention of a high vibration. Again, go back to the first example that I had given, the difference between murder in the first degree and manslaughter, for example, right? So the intention when you are working with the light is always to call in light and always to work with light. So when you are calling your energy back to you, when you're releasing your energy, it was always with the intention of working with light. So if you've ever been to Atlantis and you're creeped out, call your energy back. Call the energy of your children back. And then release the energy of the entities that could have been enjoying watching not just your children, but all children, you know, having the time of their life on this magical Atlantic vacation. So as always, guys, I hope that this video is interesting for you, an interesting topic, stimulating for you. If it has been, I would be delighted if you could like down below, comment if you've been at Atlantis, let me know what the energy felt like to you. And as always, take what resonates with you and just leave the rest behind. And until next time, stay in the high vibration.